There. 2288. 2288 hot. Hot. Pretty good.
That's a cannon, right?
Talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the head.
Welcome to the Locker Room, the number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. And today we're going to honor and remember former Texans quarterback Ryan Mallett. You just heard his voice with Gruden QB camp. We'll definitely revisit that for sure. But I just want to start by talking about, Ryan Mallett, the dude, and the way that I would describe Ryan Mallett, just based on memories. I think he was a likable, authentic dude, and I would say like a likable knucklehead. Like, my mom's a teacher, and there are some students where I'm sure she wants to shake them sometimes and she wants to hug them at the same time. That's how I look at Ryan Mallett. He was always authentic. I'm sure he frustrated the hell out of some of his coaches. I'm sure Bill O'Brien. But he was a superior talent. He was an elite talent. And I've remembered Ryan Mallett fondly for a while. I think he's one of those guys who just was kind of true to himself. And some would say, maybe there could have been a little bit, more had this happened. That I don't look at it that way. I look at it as a guy who was a carefree, easygoing guy that was able to do things that less than 1% of the world has been able to do. And I was first introduced to Ryan Mallett, and subscribe, like, right along. Number one source for Texans daily digital content. My first introduction, or the first that I heard about Ryan Mallett, and I'm sure if you're from the state of Texas, or if you're a big college football fan and you follow recruiting back in the day, my first introduction to Ryan Mallett was on the recruiting trail. You remember back when Rivals was first starting, and it was really the only resource for going and following recruiting. Ryan Mallett was the guy that everyone talked about in the state. And even if you were from nowhere near where he was from, which was right on that Arkansas-Texas border, Texarkana, you remembered hearing about Ryan Mallett and just hearing about his gun. And if you were able to watch highlights, or you were able to go, watch him play, and a lot of people would go watch him play, you heard about the myth of Ryan Mallett. And you probably remember when ESPN was hyping up Jimmy Clausen as the next LeBron James, and Jimmy Clausen ended up going to Notre Dame, but they were doing features on him right there with him. Pro style quarterbacks, I always loved doing this, was Ryan Mallett. Jimmy Clausen, Ryan Mallett right below him. And anytime you would talk about Jimmy Clausen, you'd have that person who was just real loyal to the state that would say, he's got nothing on Ryan Mallett. And quite frankly, Ryan Mallett had a better NFL career than Jimmy Clausen. So those people were right. I'm always fascinated looking at these things, though. Just the quarterbacks. A lot of these guys, you don't really look at. Kellen Moore right there at 31. I digress. I could look at these old Rivals things forever. But Ryan Mallett was in the class with Jimmy Clausen. And if you look at the dual threat quarterbacks, he was in a class with Tyrod Taylor, Cam Newton, some other guys. But Ryan Mallett, I say all that to say that Ryan Mallett, like in Texas, he was a legend for a long, long time. And you heard a lot about him. He went to Michigan. It was a little bit of kind of an awkward fit with the offense and everything. Never really looked right in the Michigan uniform. But even when he was out there at Michigan, even when, you would consider kind of his game's struggles, you could still see the arm talent. Like, the arm talent was just through the roof. And there's some guys, when you go watch them warm up, it's just kind of, I don't want to say godly, but it's pretty crazy when you just watch him spin the ball. I remember when I was a kid, whenever Jeff George was in town, my dad loved Jeff George just because of the way he threw the football. But we'd go watch Jeff George, warm up before a game, like when he would come to town. Jay Cutler was like that. Ryan Mallett is one of those guys that it just doesn't even look natural, and it just spins, and that's why he was able to have the success he did. I think he found the right type of coach in Arkansas with Bobby Petrino. I think Bobby Petrino is really good at maximizing what Ryan Mallett can do. And I think Bobby Petrino was the perfect coach for him. And I was at that Cotton Bowl when they faced Kansas State, and went on to the NFL, and we got to know him a little bit and got to see him a little bit around here. But I always just thought there was a healthy amount of innocence. There was a large amount of likability, and there was just an uncanny amount of talent. My favorite Ryan Mallett, I guess you can say moment of his career was Gruden QB camp. God, I miss these Gruden QB camps. And I get ESPN won't do it anymore, but the Ryan Mallett QB camp, and you heard it at the start of this, was one of my favorite things. Let's just kind of revisit that, some of the greatness that was Ryan Mallett's visit with John Gruden. And this was after he got grilled at the combine. There were all these questions. This is Ryan Mallett with John Gruden. God, these were good.
How do you handle all the criticism? I hear people that criticizing you, questioning you. How do you handle all that right now?
I just do what I know how to do. Just play football. I try to learn the game more and more every day. And I don't really pay attention to outside criticism unless it's from a coach, where then I would try to, critique that and fix what, a coach wants me to fix.
Mm-hmm. Because I felt like you were almost getting interrogated, man, at the combine. I mean, they're asking you some tough questions.
He was.
Yes, sir.
You like playing at Arkansas, didn't you?
I loved it.
What kind of passer are you? I mean, what kind of quarterback are you? Just a pocket guy, or are you a functional movement guy? What do you describe your game as, Ryan?
I feel like I'm a drawback guy, and I move in the pocket well. I'm not the fastest guy in the world. I'm not Mike Vick or anything like that, but I feel like I escape pressure well and I'm able to get the ball into the guys that, make the plays with their feet.
What'd I say I would do to you if I was playing against you?
You blitz the crap out of them.
Why would I, though?
Because I'm not fast.
That voice is pretty deep, man. Now, you got a hard count?
This is my favorite part. This young man is up there. He's clearly a little bit nervous. This is why Gruden QB camps were so great. They're sitting there watching tape. He's asking him to do stuff. And then John Gruden makes Mallett do a hard count. And he says it's pretty good. Watch this.
Yes, sir.
Brad Johnson, my boy, he had a great hard count. Let me hear what you got. See if you can make me jump.
There, 2288. 2288 hot. Hot.
Pretty good. That's a cannon right there. But you see how clean your pocket is?
Yes, sir.
So we got to do everything we can to not let the defense get up into your chin. You got me?
Yes, sir.
So we got to learn more than the normal guy does about protection. You're not going to be Steve Young. You already said you're not Michael Vick.
Yes, sir.
That's fine. There's plenty. Peyton Manning's doing okay, isn't he?
Yeah.
Tom Brady ain't bad in the pocket.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Dan Marino threw for 60,000 yards in about 4 years. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, we got John Daly.
He's got John Daly. I strongly recommend checking this out on YouTube. The Gruden QB camp was it was awesome, and the Ryan Mallett, in my opinion, was probably the best that they've ever done. But you can just see the likability there. There's questions and all that. He's answering them. Yes, sir. All that. Likable. Ryan Mallett never did harm to really anyone. Some would say that, the only time that when he made mistakes, it was only harming himself. And I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the authenticity, and I damn sure can appreciate the talent. I do wonder, though, if a team other than the Houston Texans had traded for Ryan Mallett, And let's say he could have got that Bobby Petrino type of coach that could understand him and maximize his abilities instead of Bill O'Brien. Could things have been different for Ryan Mallett? Because I was going back in time before the show yesterday in the Loop, Sports Radio 610 on the Odyssey app, home of the Texans. By the way, we're going to be live on the field at training camp. The training camp schedule has popped. You can see that at Sports Radio 610.com. But I went back and I watched some of the Hard Knock stuff for Ryan Mallett. And I got to tell you, I got so damn pissed off before the show watching one of the things that happened with him and Bill O'Brien that I about broke this damn monitor and just started throwing stuff, because this shows, and this is why I wonder, like, what Ryan Mallett could have maybe been had he played for a coach other than Bill O'Brien. This is the Hard Knock scene that we remember where they ran the QB sneak on 3rd and 3. And Bill O'Brien calls him out. Even the voice narrating guy on Hard Knocks is saying that Ryan Mallett did something wrong. But in reality, Bill O'Brien actually called the play, Mallett ran the play, and then Bill O'Brien got mad at him for not changing the play. Could you imagine if Ryan Mallett would have changed the play and then something bad would have happened? Bill O'Brien would have been all over him. So when you know that the young man, there's questions about the young man coming into the league, I don't think these types of antics are good with a guy like Ryan Mallett. I think maybe they work with a guy like Brian Hoyer, but if you're talking about an uncanny talent and you're talking about untapping potential and you're talking about connecting with a kid who needs to be connected with, this type of crap that Bill O'Brien pulled, man, it pissed me off yesterday.
Mallett can't mix until he misunderstands a play call on a key 3rd and 3.
He doesn't misunderstand. Even the voice guy is playing into this Bill O'Brien narrative, okay? He does not misunderstand. Okay, this is so frustrating. Okay, here is the actual, listen to the voice guy again.
Mallett can't miss until he misunderstands a play call on a key 3rd and 3.
He didn't misunderstand anything. Now watch this. Watch how ridiculous this is.
3rd down and 3. And here's a quick hitter up the middle, and it's going to be short. Now they're trying to make something
Crazy thing is they almost got it because he's so long. He didn't get the 3, but watch this.
in there.
Now it's 3rd and 3. I thought I had it. I was trying to do what you tell me. Well, I mean, yeah, I was like, okay.
See? I was like, okay, I did what you told me to do. So he did what he told him to do.
I mean, yeah, I was like, okay. Still fix the call.
Fix the call? If quarterbacks had fixed Bill O'Brien's play calling, they would be fixing every call. You would appreciate that? Fix the call. You told him to do it.
Even if you think it's possible, you're like, oh, that's no, we ain't pulling this on 3rd and 3. Yeah, I got it.
What? You called the play. Fix the call. See, that's the type of stuff, you talk about, kids needing to be brought in the right situations. And obviously, the right situation is important, especially for a quarterback, who had, the questions about maturity, et cetera, with Ryan Mallett. But Bill O'Brien's going to tell him to fix the call? Fix the call? Man, they were never top 10 in scoring or yards with you as the Texans offensive coordinator. If quarterbacks had been allowed to fix calls, maybe things would have gone better. You probably would have blown a gasket, though. Probably would have had a damn heart attack. Fix the call. That pissed me off so much. I do wonder what it would have been like had Mallett gotten a different coach. But either way, hell of a life, gone way too soon. I've always enjoyed Ryan Mallett, White Boy Slim, as I call him, and a likable knucklehead, a guy who never harmed anyone, a guy who was authentic, a guy who was a legend in this state for a long, long time, and a guy who, despite the fact that some people will look at it and wonder, did he maximize his talent, et cetera? I actually think he did, because he stayed true to himself, and he did what very few people have done. So pour one out for Ryan Mallett. Shout out to him. Bill O'Brien, you're a jackass for pulling that crap. God, that pissed me off. But pour one out for Ryan Mallett. Gone way too soon. It was fun watching Ryan Mallett. And we'll be talking about Ryan Mallett for a while, because I don't think I've seen too many cannons like that. Subscribe, like, ride along. No matter what happens when it comes to this Texans stuff, we are all in this together, except Bill O'Brien, you freaking slime ball. R.I.P. Mallett.
Got the game in the headlock, localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste.